With all due respect, Mr. President, Governor Newsom's voice dripped with condescending poison, your intelligence is flawed, your actions are tyrannical, and you will not turn my state into your personal political theater. From the Oval Office, President Trump watched the governor's slick, televised performance on one screen while a grid of silent, real-time satellite feeds flickered on another. He leaned forward, his knuckles white on the resolute desk, a cold fire in his eyes. "Gavin," he said to the empty room, a low growl of thunder before the storm, "you have no idea what's coming for you." The day began under a pall of smoke and fury. For 72 hours, Los Angeles had been tearing itself apart. What had started as a protest had metastasized into a full-blown insurgency. The city's iconic skyline was smudged with the black fingerprints of arson. The sounds of sirens were a constant panicked heartbeat, frequently drowned out by the smash of glass and the roar of angry mobs. LAPD, brave but exhausted, were losing ground, block by agonizing block. They were outmanned, out-resourced, and outmaneuvered by an enemy that seemed to have no leader, yet moved with terrifying coordination. In Sacramento, Governor Gavin Newsom stood before a podium, the picture of polished concern. His hair was perfect, his suit immaculate, his words a carefully crafted assault. He didn't speak of the beleaguered officers or the terrorized citizens. He spoke of the president. "This chaos, this violence," he declared, his voice resonating with rehearsed indignation, "is the harvest of the seeds of division sown by one man. President Trump's rhetoric has fanned the flames of hatred, and now, my state is burning." He painted a picture of righteous anger, of a populace pushed too far by a heartless administration. It was a masterful performance, portraying him as the noble defender of his people against a distant, despotic president. In Washington, D.C., Donald Trump was not watching Newsom's press conference. He was in the Situation Room, a place where the polished lies of politicians withered under the harsh glare of reality. On the main screen was General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Flanking him were the heads of the CIA and the NSA. The mood was grim. "Mr. President," the CIA director began, his voice flat, "the situation on the ground has deteriorated. The rioters are using encrypted communication, military-grade tactics, and they have funding, significant funding." "Foreign?" Trump asked. It wasn't a question, it was a confirmation. "Yes, sir," the NSA director confirmed, pointing to a complex flowchart on the screen. "We've traced a complex web of cryptocurrency transactions. They originate from an intelligence service known for its asymmetrical warfare. They are funding this chaos, providing tactical support through cutouts. They're turning American citizens into instruments of a foreign power." The evidence was damning. It showed pallets of pre-printed signs, caches of incendiary devices, and burner phones distributed through a network of so-called community organizers. It was an invasion by proxy. "They're targeting federal buildings now," General Milley added, his jaw tight. "The U.S. courthouse, the federal building in Westwood. They plan to seize them, to create a televised spectacle of humiliation for the United States government. The LAPD cannot hold them back. Governor Newsom has not requested assistance. In fact, he's refused it." Trump looked at the men around the table. He saw the gravity in their eyes. This was no longer just a riot. It was an act of war, cloaked in the guise of civil unrest. The Constitution gave him the authority, a solemn duty, to act when a state was unable or unwilling to protect itself and the Union from insurrection. "Get me the Secretary of Defense," Trump commanded, his voice firm, leaving no room for debate. "And get me the Attorney General. We are federalizing the California National Guard. Effective immediately." He stood up, his decision made. This is not a protest. This is an attack on the United States of America. And it ends now. The order ripped through the political world like a shockwave. Governor Newsom was apoplectic. He stormed out of a meeting, his face a mask of fury. Within the hour, he was back on television, this time his smooth veneer cracking to reveal the arrogant malice beneath. "This is an outrage, a power grab. Donald Trump has declared martial law on the people of California," he thundered. "He is a tyrant, a dictator, and I will fight him in the courts, in the streets, and in the court of public opinion. We will not be occupied." His legal team filed an immediate injunction. His media allies launched a full-scale assault, painting Trump as a modern-day Caesar crossing the Rubicon. Pundits screamed about constitutional crises and military coups. The narrative was set: a benevolent, progressive governor defending his state from a fascist president. The day wore on, a tense back and forth of legal filings and venomous press releases. The split screen became a permanent feature on every news network. On one side, images of guardsmen in tactical gear deploying to secure federal locations in Los Angeles. On the other, Gavin Newsom's furious, handsome face, a self-appointed martyr for democracy. By evening, the producers of a major news network had achieved the impossible: a live, televised town hall. President Trump would join from the White House, and Governor Newsom from his office in Sacramento. It was billed as a debate for the soul of the nation. The broadcast began. Newsom, cool and confident, went first. He was slick, eloquent, and utterly contemptuous. He spoke of states' rights, of presidential overreach, of the sacred right to protest. He accused Trump of using the military as his personal palace guard, of inventing a crisis to distract from his own failings. President Trump wants you to believe there are foreign boogeymen hiding in the streets of Los Angeles, Newsom said, looking directly into the camera with a condescending smirk. It's a fantasy, a lie concocted to justify his thirst for absolute power. With all due respect, Mr. President, your intelligence is flawed, your actions are tyrannical, and you will not turn my state into your personal political theater. The moderator turned to Trump. The president was calm, his expression unreadable. He hadn't interrupted once. He let Newsom exhaust his entire arsenal of polished insults and self-righteous fury. "Thank you, Governor," Trump began, his voice surprisingly quiet, drawing the audience in. A very passionate speech, very theatrical. He paused, letting the silence hang in the air. "You talk about fantasies, Governor. You talk about lies. Let's talk about facts." Trump gestured off-screen. "I'm sure you have a screen in your office, Gavin. I want you to watch. I want all of America to watch." The split screen changed. Newsom's face was now boxed in next to a high-resolution satellite image of a warehouse in East Los Angeles, taken just days before. "This warehouse," Trump said, his voice now hard as steel, "is owned by a shell corporation. You see those trucks, Governor? They're not delivering avocados." The image zoomed in, the resolution crystal clear. Men could be seen unloading wooden crates. Another image popped up, this one from ground-level intelligence. It showed the contents of a crate, not signs, but hundreds of identical military-grade encrypted radios. Newsom's composure flickered. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple. "And this," Trump continued, as the screen shifted again, now showing a complex diagram of financial transactions. "This is a blockchain analysis. It shows a transfer of $10 million in untraceable cryptocurrency. It moves from a known foreign intelligence agency through half a dozen digital wallets and lands in the account of the shell corporation that owns that warehouse." He wasn't finished. "And who is the signatory on the lease for that warehouse?" "A man named Ricardo Vargas. Does that name ring a bell, Governor?" A photo of Vargas appeared on screen, shaking hands with Newsom at a fundraiser. The caption read, "Community organizer and advisor to the governor's office." "And finally," Trump said, delivering the killing blow, "let's talk about your office, Governor. You said my intelligence was flawed. Here is a classified briefing from the Department of Homeland Security. It was delivered to your chief of staff 2 weeks ago." A document appeared on screen, heavily redacted, but with the key passages visible. It warned, in no uncertain terms, of a foreign-backed plot to instigate violent civil unrest in Los Angeles, specifically naming the funding sources and key individuals, including Vargas. "It seems your office received the same intelligence I did, Governor," Trump said, his voice now a low, powerful indictment. "The difference is, I acted on it. You ignored it. Or worse, you knew, and you let your state burn to score political points. You let foreign enemies run wild in an American city, terrorizing your own citizens, so you could stand on a podium and blame me." He leaned into the camera, his gaze piercing. "You talk about tyranny. The real tyranny, Governor, is a leader who deceives his own people, who puts his own ambition before their safety, who would rather collude with chaos than accept help. The National Guard is there to protect the people of Los Angeles from a threat you willfully ignored. They are there to defend the United States from an attack you allowed to happen. Silence. Gavin Newsom's face was ashen. The slick, arrogant mask had shattered, replaced by the slack-jawed panic of a man utterly and completely exposed. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He was checkmated. On national television, in front of the entire world, the broadcast ended. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for Newsom. Within the hour, the Supreme Court, citing the clear evidence of foreign-backed insurrection, struck down Newsom's injunction, validating the president's authority. The National Guard, now fully deployed, moved with swift efficiency, dismantling the rioters' command structures and restoring order with minimal force. The presence of a determined, unified authority broke the back of the insurgency. The final nail in Newsom's political coffin came just before midnight. An internal whistleblower from the governor's office, a young aide horrified by what they had witnessed, leaked a chain of internal emails to a consortium of independent journalists. The emails showed in agonizing detail how Newsom's chief of staff had deliberately buried the DHS intelligence briefing with one chilling message: "Let it burn. We can hang this on Trump." The deceitful charade was over. The story was no longer about Trump's tyranny, but about Newsom's treasonous incompetence. He was not a martyr. He was a charlatan who had gambled with American lives and lost. In the Oval Office, President Trump watched the news reports. He saw the images of grateful Los Angeles residents, of order being restored, of his decision being vindicated. He had faced down the arrogance, the deceit, the malice of his opponent, not with rage, but with cold, strategic precision. He had wielded the truth like a weapon, and with it, he had protected America. The lion of Fort Bragg had roared, and the jackals had scattered. Now that the dust has settled, what do you think was the single most decisive moment in that confrontation? Was it the satellite imagery, the financial trail, or the final damning leak from within the governor's own office? Share your thoughts below, and if you appreciate stories of strength and strategy, be sure to subscribe for more.